We nominated Mount & Blade Warband for PC Game of the Year last year. It wasn't because it's a beautiful game or it had a gripping story, it was because Warband's gameplay was original, addictive, and honestly, it was downright fun. It was the type of innovative game that the industry needed. This year, we gamers are going to be graced with its sequel, Mount & Blade with Fire and Sword on the PC. With Fire and Sword shares nearly identical gameplay mechanics, but the time period is different. Now players will be facing off with armies and bandits armed with firearms. While that may sound like a rather simple change, pistols and muskets drastically alter the gameplay of Mount & Blade, just as they altered the way war was waged when they first entered the battlefield. Even on the easiest settings, a single round can severely cripple you or your horse, which will prevent you from charging into a crowd of troops with the intent of thinning out their numbers with your sword. With Fire and Sword also changes the way you raise your armies. In the preview build, we couldn't recruit volunteers from villages. Instead, we had to seek out mercenaries in camps and taverns that were willing to join our cause for a fee. Losing your army and being captured to your enemies also came with a steeper consequence than its prequel. Your captors will often take items of value from you, leaving you potentially unarmed, naked, or horseless as you make your escape. It makes you think twice and even 3 times before blindly charging into battle with an army that is equal or greater in size to your own. Happily, With Fire and Sword shares all the important mechanics that we've grown to love with Mount & Blade. Large armies clashing on the battlefield while you personally control your own avatar. Sieges on towns, castles, and fortresses are all still intact. It looks and feels just like a Mount & Blade game, but this time everything is slightly more realistic. Some may be saddened by the loss of knights to the way of the gun, but With Fire and Sword focuses on an interesting time period that's often glossed over in video games. There have been a few welcome graphical upgrades, but it is still slightly behind the times in terms of graphical presentation. Those of us who could see past Mount & Blade's dusty exterior will still find a diamond underneath. But for now, we were very happy with what we were able to play with Mount & Blade with Fire and Sword, and we eagerly await the full build when it releases later this year for PC.